This is our History of Psychology video on Roger Sperry and split brain research. We hope you enjoy. Some brief background on Roger Sperry. He was born on August 20th of 1913 in Hartford, Connecticut, and he attended Oberlin College. Roger Sperry, along with David Hubel and Torsten Wessel, won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1981 for split brain research. In the 1960s, there was only one cure for people who suffered from epilepsy. This cure was by cutting the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is a bundle of nerve fibers that connect the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Sperry discovered that the two hemispheres could operate independently of each other after cutting the corpus callosum. In the first split brain study, words were presented to the right and left visual fields of patients. Remember that everything shown in the left visual field is processed in the right hemisphere and vice versa. The findings from this study were as follows. When an image was flashed in the left visual field, the patients were unable to say what the object was, but were able to pick up the item from behind a screen with their left hand. They could also draw a picture of the object with their left hand. In a second study of Sperry's on split brain research, words that were presented in the right visual field were read, and the patients were able to repeat them back. However, words presented in the left visual field were not repeated back by patients. In the third split brain study by Roger Sperry, when an image was shown in the left visual field, the patient could not name the object, but they could pick it up from behind the screen, and they reported seeing nothing. When an image was shown in the right visual field, the patient could name the object. From these three studies, Sperry and colleagues concluded that the left hemisphere can identify and name words and pictures, whereas the right hemisphere can identify, process, but not name words, and can identify pictures by touch but not by name. Here is an animated video to explain everything that I just said.
He contributed to the materialist behaviorist era. There used to be a conflict between scientific and the traditional humanistic views of people and the world, but now we perceive it as a continuum. In 1973, the New York Times Magazine published an article called "We Are Left-Brained or Right-Brained." They mentioned in the article that one part of the brain takes care of the verbal and analytical part, while the other section takes care of the artistic portion. He also was in the Los Angeles Times newspaper in 1994, in which they discussed his findings and his biography briefly after he died. They talked about his studies with animals and humans regarding the two hemispheres of the brain and studying the sensations, perceptions, feelings, ideas, and memories. Roger Sperry has received several awards, including the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1981. He also was given the Albert Lasker Basic Medical Research Award in 1979 and got the Lifetime Achievement Award in 1991 and the Distinguished Scientific Contribution Award in 1971 by the American Psychological Association. A member of the Nobel Prize Committee for Physiology or Medicine had to give his speech for the Nobel Prize Award as he was unable to attend due to poor health.
The split brain experiment changed psychology significantly. First off, it opened up a new research area which looked specifically into the functions of the left and right hemisphere. It led to the finding of the function of the corpus callosum, which we now know serves as a channel to pass information between the two hemispheres of the brain. Its contribution to cognitive psychology was great by showing us how certain neural functions tend to be more dominant in one hemisphere compared to the other. The chemoaffinity hypothesis, which states that neurons make connections with their targets based on interactions with specific molecular markers, and therefore that the initial wiring diagram of an organism is indirectly determined by its genotype, was also found while doing research on the split brain. This hypothesis has since been verified by multiple other experiments. So, Hampton, you asked us how this event fits into the system of thought? Not only did this bring cognitive psychology into the spotlight for health and medicine for cures to epilepsy, but it made psychology into more of a physical science. Rather than just behavior and introspection, now psychology has helped map the physical brain and gave insight to our cognitive functions. Because of people like Roger Sperry and his experiments with the split brain, now people who have severe brain disorders can live a somewhat normal life. Prime example is our friend Kevin.
Hi, my name is Kevin. I like to jump on my trampoline, play soccer, and hang out with my friends. I also have a brain disorder called absence of the corpus callosum. This means I am missing the part of my brain that connects two hemispheres. This is a very rare disorder. So few people understand me. If you were me, it would be a whole different experience. The structure of my brain is different than yours, and I see in a different way. Sometimes I don't understand jokes. Who cares where the chicken's going? I used to struggle with motor coordination, but I worked hard and I can ride a bike. I have a family that loves me too. They're the best. I am so glad. I am so lucky. I do not let my condition define me. I barely even think about it. I have a lot to say. Are you ready to listen?
He contributed. The chemoaffinity hypothesis, which states that neurons make connections
Hold on, no, she started.
on split brain. I just messed that whole thing up.